Mbëggeel dafa neex lool soo bëggee kii la bëgg mbëggeel dafa metti ma jaar soo bëggee kii la bëgg bu lamb yaa tey daagal fandal na be ma jaar na mu ni yow la bëgg wax na ma xol bi yaa ci ne wax na ma ni yow lay gëmeeroo moom wax na ma xol bi yaa ci ne nga lay jël di ko nekk jàppale xam ni ma gën moo metti na laaj waaw ni fan yaa ma ne fan cee oh yes na baby love sa jege nay ko dana koy
way defal xale bi def ci jow ma nga luy ko looloy def
waaw loolu sa jege nay ko dana koy
way defal xale bi def ci jow ma nga luy ko looloy def
ya chéri chéri ba ya ko gore bayu atu fonku na bayu ay waay ona balane lal ka kaw so do yeah
ni be ko soro mu ci dugg ko bay soro gan
ona balane lal ka kaw so do yeah ona sina ona balane lal ka kaw so do yeah ona sina
hey Pap kay seetaan télé gis li nga ñëw ak ni ma ko sole kay seetaan télé Pap Seck kay seetaan télé gis li ma ñëw ak ni ma ko sole kay seetaan télé Pap Seck ku ma andal Mamadou Matar nga andal Pap Bara nga andal Serigne Mor Fall nga andal tàccu leen xale bi yëngal jamono ca xew a xew sëñ Bara
ak xaaral jaa
Baaraay Mamadou Lamine Baaraay Mamadou Lamine yu waay Papa Seck Touba Couture lii mooy ñëwu yéene lii mooy ñëwu yéene yaa ma ñëwal nga mu neex nga indil ma ko waa ana buuna ne leen ana buuna doomu aji bu me buuna doomu ndayu junni bi da ngeen a sob te bari man bu leen ko jël mani da ngeen a sob te bari man bu leen ko jël ñole dafa génne fecc bu bees gaa yi dañu naan càkku ma ñëw soirée Pape Diouf daal di koy changé loolu fii rek lay demee ci soirée Pape sama junni bi ku wóolu sa digg sama junni bi ana guurum càngal sama junni bi laay laay la laa sama jabar nag daa ñëw ci bés bi muy bébé baas waaye ana atumaan laay laay la laa sama junni bi riijal sama junni bi tey xale bi sa junni bi junni bi ma dee jot ku ko fi jële Modou Mbaye sama junni bi ma dee jot ku ko fi jële waaye bébé baas neexul yéenam
Ngeen bañu ko.
bébé baas neexul yéenam
Ngeen bañu ko.
pàccap na njole waaye bébé baas moo dëgëral loolu
Ndeysaan.
Pape Diouf yërëm na njole waaye sama jéeg moo dëgëral loolu
Dëgg la.
bu déwénee yal naa ko làngal bés waaye mu am ci doom bu góor mu tuddee ko Serigne Fallou waaye mu am ci doom bu góor mu tuddee ko Serigne Mansour borom daara ji borom xilaafa gi fap
bilaay tey ma way looy
Modou ak
gretaale sama rakk la bilaay tey ma yi looy sala bige yaa ma jàmba xaritoo mun naa ma dum yaay gretaale yaa ma jàmbale
yaa ma jëkk a jàppale yow mi def kaset invité ma
Mustafa kii Mustafa Chiri Maria yaay saalo Bakar Kotu doomu yaay waaga ci jële bilaay tey ma jingo
waa boyal
man de yaay sama waaye
loolu dëgg la
xarito man ma anu doomu yaay gëla taale sama rakk la
waaye yow yaa ma jëkk a jàppale yow mi def kaset weesu fi ñëpp
yow du lay bu leen di sonal bee
loolu dëgg la waa boyal loolu
yow du leen bu leen di sonal bee
waa boyal
ay waay
loolu
yow du leen joojo matul joojo ner mu yàgg la
Papa Diouf boyal loolu
xoy mit ko toj mool ba du bëree borom la njëkk te saara kuy mbetel dama yiy toj sa waay ngi joor kàddu bëri de daxaar bëri seytaane kuy ma toj ma di sol nga yettu ko mu tol nga weer ko mu fekk nga def ca ndox mu tuuru yéen wala maa leen bëgg
ay bëggante la asuma bëggante la
yéen ñi bëgg maa leen bëgg Papa Seck yaa ma bëgg maa la bëgg
waaw waaw
Modou Matar yaa ma bëgg maa la bëgg atu bilaay tey ma betuma
boo julee kurus dagg fi ndax xiilis day bëgg a doon bisimilaay ni ba way wala yi
rahmaani baani
ñu fooyal loolu
baasi na nga xaadim jaagam ngay sele jum ci jum di sama ko
dama nama dégg daaj bu mbax dëxin daaje sama yaay bëgg naa la yaayu xaalis yaayu alaaje waaw waaw ay mari jàll saa yi der yow yaay booy jin la bàkk la yóbbee la sargal la danga dégg daaj bu mbax dëxin daaje jaru ko di soko ke danga dégg daaj mbax dëxin daaje Madison la ñuy tase waaw fu ñuy tase digal daaj yow digal daaj yow dina naa la Cheikh ki biir sa bët di moo xool Cheikh Amara jàngal sama jikko ba mu neex la waaw waaw yes su ma baaxee yi nga xam ni ñoom war a ànd benn famille bi waaw wala ma Cheikh yi Amar Sëriñ Saliou ngay bëggee Cheikh yi Amar doomu yaay Këneer Njaay way naa la yi Cheikh yaa bëgg maam Cheikh Anta Mbacké borom Daaru Salaam sama sëriñ bee Cheikh Cheikh yi Amar xam nga fonk naa la
me planting, but I'm an addy daddy, naddy juggling. I hear rumors of war, rumors of war. I give a attention to nice up the place, to find up liquor and red out them face. Make man and man have money to spend, and all the youth them know me and them friends. Rumors them spreading, ain't that a sense in me planting, but I'm an addy daddy, naddy juggling. I feel rumors of war, rumors of war. No matter what turn up you in me wear, cause me pants it no have no tear. Shoes cost a few hundred a pair, and me have money all through the year. I rumors them spreading, they've got a sense in me planting, but I'm an addy daddy, naddy juggling. I feel rumors of war, rumors of war. Rumors and rumors and rumors and rumors. Oh, nah, a propaganda. Rumors of war. Lord, can't stop. No way. A rumors them spreading, claim that a sense in me planting, but I'm an addy daddy, naddy juggling. I feel rumors of war, rumors of war. Police officer, leg on me hand. You don't know me and you don't understand. You see me flashing at Chris Rain time, so you claim that me a criminal. Rumors them spreading, claim that a sense in me planting, but I'm an addy daddy, naddy juggling. I feel rumors of war, rumors of war. Keep a time just to nice up the place, find up liquor and red out them face. Make man and man have money to spend, and all the youth them know me and them friend. And rumors them spreading, ain't that a sense in me planting, but I'm an addy daddy, naddy juggling. Rumors of war, I feel rumors of war. Rumors them spreading, sense in me planting.
Is UN and Africa. I am Derek Mbata.
Yeah, hear me? Everybody want run summer. You know see me at me a done summer. Every girl a get is a bun summer.
Me a the #1 stunner.
Call the hotel to make my reservation for my final destination.
No. I feel so good. I don't know what's come over me. Could have be the nice pipes in the party. Could have be the liquor. Could it be that you're next to me? I feel so good. I don't know what's come over me. Could have be the party. Could have be the high grade when me smoking. Could have be you next to me. There's something in the air. Nobody now watch nothing, nobody no care. Me and me whole and me friend them everybody here. And freely got the bar got me never here. And the girl them a go on bed. Some boy look me girl me not go on mad. Look on everybody face, nobody said. It's like the best time me ever had. Because I feel so good. I don't know what's come over me. Could have be the nice pipes in the party. Could have be the liquor. Could it be that you're next to me? I feel so good. I don't know what's come over me. Could have be the party.
Coulda be the high grade when me smoking. Coulda be a next to me. And the DJ a gone, everybody dancing. Beer champagne a popping up. And the high grade a gone, everybody share can. And the place it ram out packing up. A beer girl inna the dance. Me no want a boy tell me they not no chance. Cause every man hold a girl, every girl hold a man. Wipe out the crooked thing like a avalanche. Yeah. I feel so good, I don't know what's come over me. Coulda be the nice pipes inna the party. Coulda be the liquor, could it be the turn next to me? I feel so good, I don't know what's come over me. Coulda be the party, coulda be the high grade when me smoking. Coulda be a next to me. There's something in the ear, nobody now watch, nothing, nobody no care. Me and me whole of me friend, them everybody here. And freely got the bar when me never hear. And the girl them a go on bed. Some boy look me girl, me not go on mad. Look on everybody face, nobody said. It's like the best time me ever had. Yeah, cause I feel so good, I don't know what's come over me. Coulda be the nice pipes in the party. Coulda be the liquor, could it be that you're next to me? I feel so good, I don't know what's come over me. Coulda be the party, coulda be the high grade when me smoking. Coulda be a next to me. Yeah, cause I feel so good, I don't know what's come over me. Coulda be the nice pipes in the party. Coulda be the liquor, could it be that you're next to me? I feel so good, I don't know what's come over me. Coulda be the party, coulda be the high grade when me smoking. Coulda be a next to me.
And you know so that me see me with trouble it. So put it and repeat, my girl. Are you where me need number one? Girl, you are the hottest thing around here. One thing me want you know me well prepare. Give me the thing, girl, and make me shift it in gear. She pull me close up and give me the stare. She whisper in my ear.
How deep is your love?
You should know.
How deep does it go? How deep is your love?
I'm gonna show you.
Let's explore.
Playtime.
How deep is your love?
Girl.
How deep does it go? Mine run down to the ocean floor.
Well, when I you when me want, so just give me the, girl, me dancing a floor, girl, your body this make you make me feel so high, my girl. You make me want enjoy my
This is a
Deeper than the
download from the
ocean, deeper than the
BBC.
sea. You and me, girl.
Welcome to the Forum, the BBC's global exchange of ideas, with me, Bridget Kendall. Today we're in Brussels, capital of Belgium, and the world-famous hub of the European Union. The EU doesn't just bring together 28 separate countries under one umbrella, it's also the biggest donor of development aid in the world. So we've come to take part in the EU Development Days, a yearly gathering of 4,000 people from all over the world who meet here for an intense 2 days of discussion. And this year, one of the key themes is water and food security. We all need to drink and eat to stay alive, but a staggering 1 billion people around the world are undernourished. So what's the best way to help them? And as the world's population grows and more people are lifted out of poverty, how do we manage these essential resources for life, food and water, to make sure there's enough to go round for everyone? We're in an enormous and historic warehouse which has been redesigned as an exhibition and conference hall, and all around us sessions are taking place on various aspects of development. But some of the delegates have joined us here, so I'd like to welcome our audience and our panel of distinguished guests. Ernest Ruzindaza is from Rwanda, where he's the permanent secretary at the Ministry of Agriculture, which has been credited with turning Rwanda's food deficit into a surfeit in just 5 years. Jean-Pierre Alquin is a senior European official working for EuropeAid, where he oversees policy on food security, agriculture and nutrition. Girish Menon focuses on water and sanitation and is Director of International Programmes at the charity WaterAid. And soil scientist Luca Montanarella also works for the European Commission as soil action leader. His most recent project is a soil atlas of Africa. So let's welcome them. Let me start with a quick question to all four of you. Briefly, in each of your areas, what would you say is the biggest development problem that needs solving in the next 10 years? Girish Menon, as someone who focuses on water and hygiene, what would you say?
I think the biggest problem is the fact that almost 800 million people in the world don't have access to safe water, and 2.5 billion people don't have access to sanitation, which means about 2,000 children die every single day because of diarrhea as a result of poor water and sanitation.
Jean-Pierre Alquin, one of your focuses is malnutrition. What would you say?
Well, it complements what has just been said. It's that 170 million children are suffering from chronic undernutrition. And this is jeopardizing their potential to develop both mentally and physically. This is a challenge that we need to take.
And what about when it comes to soil, Luca Montanarella? What's your view?
My dream is that people would realize that soil resources are limited and that we need to feed all of us with a limited resource that is not renewable, and we should get aware that if we don't protect this resource, we may have a serious problem in the near future.
And Ernest Ruzindaza.
Just to put in place the right policies that help especially farmers to increase productivity using sustainable water, soil and input.
Okay, well, we'll explore that in a bit more detail, because although you're all here in Brussels to take part in high-level discussion, we want to keep this at a human and understandable level. So let's just imagine for a moment a typical smallholder farmer living in a remote rural area and what the main concerns might be for her right now. Let's assume it's a woman, because so many smallholders are women. And indeed, Ernest, in Rwanda, the majority of the smallholders are women, aren't they?
Let's start with the land. We put in place a land law in 2006, and that land law gives ownership to landholders. And I think that is a very good policy that gives smallholders the right to invest on their land, and the right also to use their land as a collateral to access finance. The woman in rural area needs really to hold the land. The woman has the title, and she can use the land as a collateral to invest in agriculture, to increase productivity. But in order to increase productivity, you don't only need that title. You need to access input, improved seeds, fertilizers. So how farmers access those seeds, I think government needs to play a big role together with private sector, of course. Because I come back to the example of Rwanda. We have 416 sectors. They have a network of distribution of fertilizers. So farmers can easily access fertilizers and seeds for what we call priority crops. And that program is working not only on input, but also try to put farmers together in cooperatives so that they have also reasonable land, because we encourage farmers to consolidate their lands.
Let's just stop there for a minute, because you're talking about fertilizer. So
Yeah.
I wanted to bring in Luca as a soil scientist. When you're looking at some smallholder, not necessarily in Rwanda, but possibly in Rwanda, you have to take into account, don't you, what soil they've got to work with. What's the picture?
Yeah, definitely, it's a very important issue, but I would like to link it with what was said, because this is very crucial to link the soil issue to the land tenure issue. Because once you talk about sustainability, and that's what we would like to talk about, sustainable use of the available soil resources, you need to have a vision that goes beyond generations. You need to be sure that that soil will be there also for future generations. And so you need to have a link that allows you to look beyond just your current immediate situation. And this is only possible if tenure is assured. So it's only possible if that woman can be sure that her children will still have the right to dwell on that soil. So that links then to the fertilization issue, because you want to have a sustainable management of that soil for future generations. And so you would not like to use this soil in an unsustainable way if you want to leave the same fertility to your children. So to do that, you need really to look into the quality of your soil. And obviously in Africa, and now coming back to the issue, we know that soils are very much depleted. So you need input, as was said, you need fertilizers, and applying them in a reasonable way, so localized to where they're needed. So you need information at the very end.
Take this woman, say she was a smallholder in Rwanda. What are the chances that she would have good soil?
Not very high, unfortunately, because soils have been heavily depleted. Actually, we should also keep in mind African soils have been naturally, for their origin, not very high in fertility. So they didn't have the privilege of have the soils that we have been enjoying in the plains of US or in those plains of Ukraine, which are the most fertile soil in the world. These are not in Africa. These are these type of black, very fertile soils that in Africa, due to the situation, the geological and the climate situation, are not there. So we have originally already rather poor fertility, which then has been additionally depleted. And so we need to keep this in mind, but we need to also be having a local view. So soils are very different.
That one is not a static issue. That one is not a static issue. You can manage the soil fertility.
Absolutely.
Sure, because that's where comes extension services.
Yeah.
To support farmers to amend the soil and to increase the health of the soil. Yeah.
Well, another issue, of course, that's absolutely critical is how much water the smallholder might be able to have access to. What's your view on that, Girish?
I think if you're looking at a small landholder in a country in, say, sub-Saharan Africa, the woman is likely to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning before sunrise, because she has to go out in the dark with her young daughters to defecate because there is no toilet, and she can't go during daytime because of the shame and embarrassment and the indignity that it would invite. And then she comes back home, and then she's prepared to take her jerry cans and invariably take her girl children along for that long trek for water, which in a typical African or South Asian context would mean 3 to 5 hours every single day, carrying 20 liters of water on each trip on her head or on her back. Come back and then be responsible for the work throughout the day, because she's then required to go out into the farm, help a husband or her sons in the tilling, in the weeding, in all the agricultural activities, and life goes on.
But I want again to intervene. I don't think it is the right image that we are giving to that woman of sub-Saharan African countries. We might face some cases, but let's avoid to generalize. Because if you generalize, then it becomes wrong.
Can I come back with a statistic on that? Because war trade works in about 20 countries in Africa. So this is not a case of Rwanda alone. It's across sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia where war trade works. And we have done a research recently in 25 countries, which points out to the fact that women and girls tend to spend about 97 billion hours every year in search of a safe place to go.
Let's just leave aside the point of personal hygiene and talk about the other really important issue with water, which is farming and irrigation? Because this will also be a big issue, won't it? Whether it's possible to irrigate those crops or they have to be rain-fed.
Absolutely. People don't live their lives in compartments. So while WaterAid looks at water for domestic purposes, we are not actually into the farming sector. We recognize that as far as local communities are concerned, water has multiple uses. So they need water for the drinking, for cooking, for bathing, for small agriculture, for the livestock, because many communities rely entirely on their livestock. And that's why it's really important to look at the multiple uses of water. The water required for domestic purposes is just about 10% of the total water use. Agriculture accounts for 70%. And we really need to make sure that in the desire for securing the 70% for agriculture, we do not forget the 10% that's required for basic purposes like drinking and cooking, which is absolutely fundamental to survival.
Jean-Pierre, can I come to you? Because for the European Commission, you focus on food security programs, but in particular, what's called hidden hunger, isn't it? Malnutrition. How would this relate to this imaginary scenario?
Well, first of all, I would like to bounce back on what Luca said. Luca was speaking about a woman wishing to leave her land plot to her children. Maybe one point that needs to be raised is that she's likely to have many children. And so she will leave only a small part of her land plot to her children, who themselves are going to leave even a smaller part of their land plot to their own children. So for me, this is quite a challenge in many developing countries. We were yesterday hearing about President Issoufou from Niger speaking about population growth in Niger, 4% a year. This is really a pressure on land and a pressure on the size of farming system. Also on water, we have been speaking a lot about having access to water for sanitation and the fact that it can be, for cultural reasons, an issue of shame. We should not forget also that lack of sanitation is also a major issue of waterborne disease, which are then transmitted to the children and causes of also many people dying across the world. So that's something very important we should not neglect. So to go back to the hidden hunger, whenever there is a famine, what we see on CNN is children who've been deprived from food for weeks and they are really skinny, and you see the bones appearing on the chest, and it's really difficult to see that. What we call the hidden hunger is children who have been prevented from a normal diet for months, and then the body grows in a way that you don't notice because they are just getting shorter than the normal size. What is even more hidden is that those children will never grow up to the full potential, the physical one, and never develop their full mental potential. So what research shows is that, in fact, the care that the child is receiving during the 1,000 first days of his life are determining in a very strong way his future. And this is where really this hidden hunger becomes also an issue of hidden injustice among children. That's something which is very important and which is now more and more also taken on board by head of states in Africa, for instance, who really want to address this through political commitment.
Ernest, if I could come back to you, the other three, Jean-Pierre, Luca and Girish, are all talking about things that they're concerned about, things where they see need. But the interesting thing about Rwanda is that in 5 years you've managed to make these big advances from being a country which had a food deficit to being able to export some. And as you were saying, one of the ways you've done this is both by helping the smallholder, but also a lot of government intervention. And one scheme I think everyone would be intrigued to hear about is your cow sharing scheme. Can you tell us just a bit about that, how that works?
Okay. We have a program called One Cow Per Poor Family. In our local language, it's Giringa, to have a cow. It's a program that targets the poorest of the poor in the communities. We want to address different issues. The first issue is nutrition, but also we want to give those farmers an opportunity to increase their household income. So the program is built in a way that an identified family at community level is given a cow, and then that family is requested to give next female cow to another family. So that brings a cohesion in the community, and then that family can have milk. The family can also increase productivity because it has manure that can, utilize on the land to increase productivity. So you can see that it's a program which is really integrated at household level, but also which opens to create milk value chain, the dairy value chain, because at another level, you can see that you put on place a milk basin, and then you train private companies to come and to build milk collection centers, and also to link those milk collection centers to the milk factories. So you start by one cow, but also you build a dairy sector.
I guess what we gathered so far from the four of you is that there are short-term needs, intervening in the first 1,000 days, right, of a child's life to stop them being stunted. But then there are the long-term needs, the need, for example, to have ownership of land so that you make sure the soil is looked after from one generation to the next. How do you manage to coordinate these two? How do you manage to solve urgent problems like malnutrition, but husband resources like soil and water for the future? And I just wanted to bring you, the audience, in here, because you're also people with a lot of expertise. Are there those of you who can come to us with your own examples or your own insights into this dilemma? How do you coordinate this? Or are there examples from other parts of the world where you've seen a real dilemma on this short-term and long-term problem, or ways to solve the problem? Yes.
My name is Allard van der Ham. I'm Executive Director of SNV, Netherlands Development Corporation. I would like to link up with the Rwandan case, because it is our experience, we work in 35 countries with communities, that the first thing farmers want to do is to feed their families. And they are the excellent entry point for starting programs. And they are also the ones who can push for structural reforms. We, from outside, we cannot and we should not push for internal reforms. But it is the people themselves who need to be fulfilled, their urgent needs as well as their long-term needs, that can create that political mass also to force their government or to be in dialogue with their government to create the conditions for a long-term involvement. But we cannot accept that people go hungry every day until their long-term needs are fulfilled.
So, a dilemma sometimes between urgent needs to feed your family now, even though there might be long-term imperatives. Anyone else like to add to that from their own experience around the world?
I'm David Nyange from Tanzania. We have a safety net program in Tanzania which provides, short-term relief to families that are experiencing food shortage. And the advantage of that we call productive safety net, the fact that farmers' energy is used in implementing an activity that would build their long-term capacity to increase production. For example, food for work, where a family will be involved maybe in rehabilitating an irrigation canal or building an earth dam for harvesting rainwater so as to increase their production capacity in the long term. That's a very good example of striking a balance between short-term.
We've got a couple of other hands up.
My name is Sheikh Mo. I'm working for the World Agroforestry Center based in Nairobi. I just want to bring one simple statistics here. The World Health Organization says to have a good nutrition, you need 400 grams of fruits and legumes every day. The average consumption of legumes and fruits in Africa is 40 grams, 10 times less. How do we create a portfolio of activities which are integrated enough in order to address these multiple needs of local farmers? And we think that this integrated approach should also respond to the integrated assessment of natural resources and the natural production of assets at local communities. So integration of trees and crops, trying to improve the production of traditional fruit trees, which are very rich in vitamins. The baobab tree in vitamin C is much higher than any orange. So we can try to promote that. In order to promote it, there is one aspect which is a big issue in Africa, maybe in Rwanda it's the case, is the productivity of our trees. How to bring the seedlings to give big trees with a lot of productivity of fruits. And those trees will help the ecosystem to be healthy and to maintain the soil quality.
Thank you very much. So hand up here.
My name is Bayo Ajetomobi, and I'm affiliated with an organization called Alt Consulting. I'm based in the UK, but I'm probably one of those few people that as a young person actually worked as a farmer as a teenager. And I think the image of
where
farming...
was that?
In Nigeria, in a small town called Ife. And what you understand is that the image and the portray that you give of farmers is very important for young people to engage. So when you portray the fact that a farmer, being a woman, has to spend a lot of their time trying to find a place to relieve themselves, that is not the experience that I had. In fact, I had access to a WC, and there are people, farmers, that had a full-time job, but but they also supplement their income by actually having lands that's been passed on to them. And they're really serious about farming. And with time, as you would normally do in Europe, whereby you have a full-time job but you have a business, in time, if farming is producing more income for them, they will do more farming. So in order for you to sustain the resources in terms of land management and in terms of producing agriculture, you've got to show young people that the image that will be carried around outside of Africa seems to be positive, and they will engage more in that aspect of the business.
Okay, let's just put to you guys this idea of when a farmer is dealing with their problems, feeding the family, but also thinking of the future, they have to take an integrated approach. Is it the case, do you think, that perhaps development specialisms have become too specialist and they too need to be more integrated? Girish, you're nodding.
Yes, I'm nodding because I thought that the gentleman from Nairobi made an excellent point on integration. As I said a little while earlier, people don't live their life in compartments or sectors. You know, for any person who wakes up in the morning, it is a life that they have to lead. So if you're talking of water and food, there is so much of an interlinkage that we really need to look at the community level, for instance, and see what are the different uses that water is required for, and is there enough water in the system, in the community, and how best to manage the water so that it meets all those critical needs. But at the same time, at the government level, at the level of NGO, civil society, the discussions on post-2015 development goals is an opportune time for us to actually think of breaking these silos and come up with a more holistic, more joined-up approach where the outcome should be about eradicating absolute poverty and making sure that everybody has access to basic services, whether it's health, whether it's education, whether it's water and sanitation, whether it's nutrition. And it's really important that all the different departments, all the different arms of the government or intergovernmental organizations actually work together so that we don't have some of the issues that we saw with the current series of Millennium Development Goals where they were divided by sectors. So I would totally back the idea of integration, but look at it at different levels. Look at it at the community level and look at it at the national level and see how best those interlinkages can be made.
A quick thought from you, Jean-Pierre.
Now, the point you mentioned is very relevant, and I believe that, for instance, if undernutrition or nutrition are not being addressed properly, it is because it is multisectoral. In order for a child to be appropriately nourished, he has to receive the right nutrition food, so the right amount of calories, the right micronutrient, but also he has to have access to water, he has to have access to hygiene also, and he has also to have access to health services. And we can only move forward towards nutrition through an inclusive approach where the three components at least are dealt consistently and in a very coordinated manner. That's something very important. So it is not about choosing between land and water or agriculture. You need to do the three together to reach a goal.
We've talked a bit about soil. Let's just talk about it a bit more with you, Luca. You have this soil atlas. What percentage of the soil in Africa is easily cultivatable?
Oh, I would say that roughly 50% of the soil can be considered easily cultivatable. But of course, we should keep in mind it depends on your technology input. Nowadays, you can cultivate everything everywhere if you put enough technology into it. I mean, you can cultivate wheat in the middle of the Sahara, but the big question is this sustainable? And there comes the big question, don't we have the possibility to manage the soil resources differently in a more sustainable way, probably with a different type of agricultural systems that are more adapted to the local soil conditions and not importing systems that are maybe being developed in situations which were very different. So there is a lot of thinking about that, and I think realizing that soils are different over the world, that African soils have their own properties. This is a big step forward to make a development towards an African-centered system of agriculture that is suitable and matching the actual conditions of the soils.
Let's come back to your ambitions for Rwanda, Ernest, because you've talked about the need to fertilize the soil. And in fact, your ministry has talked about very ambitious plans to develop, for example, floriculture in Rwanda so that you can send flowers to Europe, which would need a lot of fertilization, wouldn't it?
I'm really convinced that we can manage to increase fertility of soil. You can increase the quantity of fertilizers, you can increase the quantity of manure, either inorganic or organic. They can be used.
I like very much your example of the cow, because the cow can be a big tool to have an increase of fertility.
Yeah,
absolutely.
For organic, yeah, sure. Because it's not only increasing fertility, but also managing land and managing water together in an integrated way. we're trying to invest in erosion control because our lands are very hilly. We are a mountain country, and we are controlling erosion with different methods. The one that we are using today is terracing, and that terracing approach is not only providing farmers good soils, but also is giving farmers jobs. It's not only agriculture, but it's agriculture with roads. It's agriculture with market linkages. Because if you increase productivity, those farmers need to know where they sell their products. So it's really an integrated development approach.
Jean-Pierre?
Yes, maybe I wanted to a bit widen the scope further than Rwanda. Because often when we speak about addressing the issue of hunger and undernutrition, we are faced with a growing population, less resources, climate change, and some people are saying, well, you cannot make it, or at least developing countries cannot make it. What we see in countries which are having limited natural resources, like Rwanda, like Ethiopia, like Niger, or like Bangladesh, which has also a very high population density, is that by having the right policies, by having the right commitment, they are able at the same time to address the issue of undernutrition right now, but also move towards more sustainability on use of natural resources. And for me, this is something which is extremely encouraging. The example provided just here about Rwanda are really encouraging for all the donors community and all the stakeholders involved in the development. That we can do something. We can see that the goals we are defining on undernutrition, on poverty, on hunger can be reached.
But is it the case that in all countries there is a manageable and sustainable answer to, for example, something like water shortage, Girish? Or are some places going to have to make hard choices?
I think we often talk about water scarcity, but what we see in many of the countries that we work in, that it's less about the actual supply of water, it's more an issue of its management and its distribution, because we find that investments may not be quite equitable. In some countries, for instance, we have seen that a large share of investment for water supply is cornered by the capital city, because that's where the demand is most articulated, leaving out very large parts of the rural hinterland, and people don't have access to water. I think an important point to be mentioned here is, going back to the point of integration, is, and again relevant to the topic, which is on food security, is to see, are we addressing, for instance, the three different aspects of food security, which is availability of food, access to food, and use of food. A lot of discussions around soil and agriculture really helps in making sure that there is enough food that's available. But the important point that Jean-Pierre has been making is a lot around food use, and that's not adequately addressed. There's a lot of attention on making sure that there is more food and food is put into the mouth. But what happens when the food actually goes into the body? Does the body have the absorption capacity to use the food and convert it into energy and into actual nutrition? And that's one of the big challenges that we have in the world today, where we find that in communities where sanitation and hygiene is not practiced, there is a lot of contamination of water sources, there is a lot of contamination of food, which means that our body is not, and particularly children are most vulnerable, they're not able to absorb the nutrients. So it might be putting something into a bottomless pit, putting more and more food into the hands of people who are not able to use the food properly just because the sanitation and hygiene is not managed. And I think those are some of the issues that we need to look at. Water shortage is important, but is the water safe for human consumption? Can it help the body use the food that is being made available to them? What about sanitation? Because poor sanitation practices, improper agriculture practices, poor practices around discharge of industrial waste can all pollute your water source, which in turn takes you back to square one, where you find that there is still a large issue of nutrition and hunger.
This question of nutrition inputs, I wanted to pick up on something that Lucas said, which is when you're thinking about how you have sustainable soil, maybe you shouldn't always see the imported model as the best one. Let's bring in the audience again here now on this one. Yes, there's a hand already gone up here.
My name's Tim Crocker-Buquet. I'm a doctor and a public health specialist from the UK, and I'm here from the British Medical Association. My experience of malnutrition in Africa is probably slightly different than the kind of malnutrition that we've been talking about so far. I have spent some time working in townships in South Africa, and one of the increasing things that you see is difficulty in getting and maintaining fresh food supplies into large urban sprawls, and we're seeing increasing urbanization across large parts of the world, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa. So what you get is obesity from highly processed, high-fat, high-carbohydrate, very cheap preserved foods, and very difficult access to fresh fruit and vegetables because of the expense of the logistics and the refrigeration and getting that kind of thing into a very highly urban environment like that. And I was wondering how these kind of two different aspects of smallhold or medium-sized farms and the logistics of getting fresh fruit and vegetables into a highly urbanized, very poor environment interlink.
It's a very good point, isn't it? How do you get the fresh tomatoes to anyone when it's much easier to tin them and then they can transport it long distances? Anyone else like to come in on this question of nutrition? Yes, there's a lady at the front.
Thank you. My name is Pacifica Okemwa from Kenya. In all this debate on policies, land, nutrition, the missing link I find is the gender link. How do gender relations impact on nutrition, for example? How do these gender relations impact on food security at the family level? So as long as policy does not capture the gender relations, it is difficult to even deal with the issues of malnutrition, the issues of food security and all that.
Can you explain why? In what way you think it does impact?
Yes. I want to give an example of the challenge that single mothers would face. Single in the sense that maybe the men that they got the children with are not living with them. They do not have secure employment and therefore lack means of providing for those children. And we find a lot of that in urban informal settlements in Nairobi, for example. And so the bigger challenge for me is how does a policy, for example, national policy on supporting such families impact on the most vulnerable? Because if we miss that, then indeed we have sections of population who will not be impacted upon by the good policies about land, about water, about nutrition, just because they do not have the kind of support. So for me, that is the missing link. Thank you.
This is a really important thing that's been brought up by both of you. Thank you. That the whole urban question, because of course malnutrition isn't just something that's to do with rural poverty. In fact, if you're a smallholder, then you can maybe eat what you grow and it's much healthier for you. So what do you do in large towns? Jean-Pierre?
No, it is a very good question, and it has been a challenge for many years. What we see is that now there are some new types of relation between farmers and buyers in the cities which are easing that, because a tomato is not something that you can keep for 15 days. It is, for instance, the type of relation that we call contract farming. We speak about a family farmer, what we call a commercial family farmer. So he has a small farm lot of 1 or 2, 3 hectares, maybe 5, but not more. He has a relation of confidence with a buyer in the city who is telling him, by tomorrow, please provide me 300 kilos of tomato. And then he's harvesting his tomato, putting them right in the truck. And the buyers know that he's going to receive tomatoes from John, from Pierre, from Mamadou of a certain quality. And they've already agreed upon the price. So this is really changing, for instance, the way the relation between the farmer and the buyer. It is empowering the farmer. It is also reducing post-harvest losses. And that's something which is very important and which is developing. It is not done everywhere. In Senegal, it is now quite well developed. They started by believing they would export tomato to the European Union. And at the end, they end up with facing more demand in Senegal itself.
Is this an issue in Rwanda as well? Because, of course, you want to export to help your budget and to help fund new things. But at the same time, when it comes to feeding the population, you have to worry about also your own urban population having accessible food, good food.
Of course, farmers now are trying to be market-oriented. It's not that subsistence agriculture. They are actually doing agriculture for the market. Farmers that are, let's say, doing maize, they are doing maize, but they want to sell. They can have money and go and buy. So for those who are in perishable products, I agree with my friend here that they need to have real deals. They need to have contracts. If we go in perishable products at that commercial scale, we need to make sure that you have contract farming so that we avoid the post-harvest losses.
And better storage capacity.
And better storage capacity, yes.
But while I still have something to say, I want to come back to the point raised by my sister here from Kenya on the role of women in nutrition. I think this brings that integration element of how we approach malnutrition or nutrition programs. An example that I can share here is that we have what we call multi-sectoral malnutrition fighting program in Rwanda. It's a multi-ministerial program where you have agriculture, health, education, local government, and the Ministry of Gender. We are now implementing what we call 1,000 days program. We know very well that the first 1,000 days of a child are very important. And it's that period where we need to invest and try to avoid stunting and underweight. But we need to work with the women. That's why we work with the Ministry of Gender that has women in their mission.
Girish, you wanted to come in.
Yeah. Yesterday I stumbled upon a film made by our team in Mozambique and I was quite intrigued by the title. The title was We Have Found Gold, and I thought we were not in the business of finding gold, so I sort of clicked it. It's on YouTube. It was about an urban community in Maputo, the capital of Mozambique, in a settlement called Costa do Sol. And in Costa do Sol, they had promoted something called eco-san or ecological sanitation, where the human waste is used as organic fertilizer to improve productivity of the soil. And here was an urban family in an urban low-income community who in their homesteads were growing cabbage based using the urine that was recycled, and they found that the cabbage production was higher, and instead of 45 days they could now reap the harvest in just 30 days. They had significantly reduced purchase of chemical fertilizer, and when they sold it to the people, they actually didn't tell people they used urine, but when they sold it to the people, the consumers felt that it tasted much better. So, there's a win-win for everybody. Now, they do doubt whether people would have bought it.
Is that so? Did you try?
But to say this is very scientific
with the marketing.
It is a scientifically proven thing, because the Stockholm Environmental Institute, which is based in Stockholm, has done immense research on eco-san and has proved that is safe for human consumption. Obviously, it has to be done right. And interestingly, the Chinese used to do it from 500 BC, so it's not something that's new, but we have forgotten somewhere down the way. So we can address sanitation, we can address urban population, and we can address nutrition, and we can address livelihood through some of that integrated, rounded up thinking.
Sure. And through something which is, as it turns out, a very old practice.
Absolutely.
Luca, is this the way to go?
Absolutely. Everything is interlinked. We always should not forget that you cannot consider soils alone. For example, all the urbanization issue is strictly linked with soil fertility. The fact that now most of the organic substance from the soil that we consume to produce and we transfer to the city will not go back to the soil, because it will go probably in a landfill in the best case, if not somewhere else. That's a big issue, and this is one of the big reasons why we have such a depletion by nutrients, because we're pumping them out, we bring them to the city, but we never bring them back unless we buy fertilizer, which is again triggering another problem. So this partnership, rural communities, urban communities, needs not only to go in the way that we get the food from the rural community to the urban community, but also the other way around, that the waste from the urban community goes back to the soils in the rural community.
Some ideas for Rwanda there, Ernest?
Yeah, I think if you want to increase, the soil fertility, I think it can be a way to go. Yeah.
Well, thank you. We've been talking about food and water, and certainly over the course of this programme, I think we've been given food for thought from both the panel and from the audience. My thanks to all four of you: Rwanda's Ernest Ruzendaza, Nutrition Authority Jean-Pierre Alcan, soil scientist Luca Montanarella, and water expert Girish Menon. And of course to you, our audience here in Brussels. Though this is where we have to leave the discussion, you can continue the debate on Twitter and Facebook, and you'll find many more of our programmes online too. But for now, from me, Bridget Kendall, and everyone on the Forum team, and here at the European Union Development Days, thank you so much for joining us.
If you've enjoyed this BBC podcast, why not try others, such as In Our Time, where Melvin Bragg discusses the history of ideas. To find out more, visit BBC.
Original Dom Sen, wara yéeg sur scène ak yeneen i fem newoon naa leen samay rim dinaa ci am prime duma ci def benn crime ku miim laajal Abdou Karim liiru siiru ba doon xiiru kañoom basiiru maa ko rey kañoom miniiru Sénégal xàmmeetuma ko ñaaw teef gi dafay bëri Sénégal xàmmeetuma ko sacrifice dafay bëri Sénégal xàmmeetuma ko lu bon lu ne fi lay xewe wuuy loolu ko waral xiiroo beeg ñaayoo beeg këccoo palaas mais jaru ko ndax nit ki foo ne am na ku fa nekkoon nga wuutu ko te muy dëgg nit nga fa mos a jóg keneen ñëw toog te ñoo changé drapeau bi def ko tout rouge comme que tour deret dafa xew wax leen ci lii balaa ëppi loxo lii raam ci ñag bi la jëm loolu la ñu waxoon léegi jóge na ci ñag bi mi ngi ci biir kër yi réewum teraanga la ñu waxoon ak mën gan léegi réewum terrasse la ak mën a rey ndax rayante be xëccoo place ak bëgg tur tax na ku ney dem ci maamën yi ngir sur sa morom bàyyi leen parloo gile tey atte dëgg ni prof yaa ngi doxaan élèves yi loolu du ngeen ci wax kay góor ngi sëy waaye loolu du ngeen ci wax waajur yi ngi tëdd seeni doom du ngeen ci wax jigéen ak jigéen di sëy loolu du ngeen ci wax nit ci kaso bi deful dara loolu du ngeen ci wax nekk hôpital amoo loo fajoo du ngeen ci wax gis naa paa bu am doom ba doon ja am doom kooku ab sëtama paa ba ñàkk fayda tax mu dem ci coiffeur watu à la brosse ñu lool booba soli training ngir bëgg ci gone yi ndaw yi loolu jaadu na déedéet loolu jaaduwul ce qui n'est pas normal du dëgg du yoon dajil beneen paquet bi nga daj di woon dafa jeex yokku cere dolli ñeex ñoo la koy sifal booy waay bu leen ma yëngal waay dinañ la yëngal waay ma gis meer bu solub mini teg ci jumax out sol ay bot teg ci pirigëm ngir nekk xale sa jëkkër dee nga war a muuru teñ ji wut sa bone làq ko moom mu lay cukkuri mbaa mu lay dëbb di mooñ sa cërëy nëx xale yi loolu jaadu na déedéet loolu jaaduwul ce qui n'est pas normal du dëgg du yoon dajil beneen paquet bi nga dajji woon dafa jeex yokku cere dolli ñeex ñoo la koy sifal booy waay bu leen ma yëngal waay dinañ la yëngal waay ma gis jeune bu wàcce tubayam ba cër yey feeñ di dox di biiñ ak a lamsal ñi di melestiku ñii di wiit ñii di xeesal mel ni ay cokoto booy loolu jaadu na déedéet loolu jaaduwul bu la yàlla defee góor deel def yëfi góor ma ni ce qui n'est pas normal du dëgg du yoon dajil beneen paquet bi nga dajji woon dafa jeex yokku cere dolli ñeex ñoo la koy sifal booy waay bu leen ma yëngal waay mais dinañ la yëngal waay ëxët da nga tëxët moo tax booy sëkkët di xëxët buñ la diggee visa Suisse tombeek Sénégal di wis na nga moytu mbiru wis lundi ci la ñuy fomp lundi ndax mardi dangay maar mercredi boo meree doo am crédit jeudi ci la jeu bi commencé vendredi ma indi vendredi samedi ma ànd ak am di dimanche ma jël sama revanche boo ko nettee da ngay jéem a honnête ñu toggal la omelette nga toog ci sàkket boo ko léppee lépp daal di net ñu wobbi net booy mu yendu leket yóbbu ma ket jox ko Odette invité Ahmed feetu ñoom na net jox ko crevette brochette ak croquette mu yóbbu ko toilette mu sal bu ba set génne diwu net yor ngandam yet woddoo serviette sol liquette lal moquette gàddu poset sol coquette yor fourchette di jàpp boulette Facebook du Facebook internet lañu war a interdit ndax netul email ni mu mel mais bàcc yaa ngi ne yàcc li ngay ràcc lay bañ mu wàcc sàcc bu ca dóor yi méttee dafay nàcc lu fees bu koy bëcc muy fàcc li sa xel di màcc may ki la koy gàcc li nga jaay baaxul boo wàccul nañ ko xàcc bu la xorondong màttee ci ndong yow da nga koy koŋ yóbbu ko Hong Kong boole ko King Kong mu jox ko song mu daal di koy tong ndax moo ko gën a moŋ baax sa wax dafa laax moo la tax a rax boo doon naan soowu tax lu tax gi tax tax bet tax waddal pi tax buñ daka tax mu ra tax dugg ci ndox naan paccax def ba mu tëb buy tëb nga naan ci suuf këpp te da ngay nëb man may bandi Mike original dans scène ak yeneeni feem sur scène dem naa de yaa ngeen jëf waay waaye bu leen ma yëngal waay dina la yëngal waay Rasta production sama junni taxagul ko nag sama junni ni ko koy jël na dee du ko safara e boy ñu lakk la nga gëm taxaguñ de taxagul ko nag kin taxagul ko nag
عزيز حكيم مثل الذين ينفقون أموالهم في سبيل الله كمثل حبة أنبتت 7 سنابل في كل سنبلة 100 حبة والله يضاعف لمن يشاء والله واسع عليم الذين ينفقون أموالهم في سبيل الله ثم لا يتبعون ما أنفقوا منا ولا أذى لهم أجرهم عند ربهم ولا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون قول معروف ومغفرة خير من صدقة يتبعها أذى والله غني حليم يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تبطلوا صدقاتكم بالمن والأذى كالذي ينفق قول معروف ومغفرة خير من صدقة يتبعها أذى والله غني حليم يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تبطلوا صدقاتكم بالمن والأذى كالذي ينفق ماله رئاء الناس ولا يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فمثله كمثل صفوان عليه تراب فأصابه وابل فتركه صلدا لا يقدرون على شيء مما كسبوا والله لا يهدي القوم الكافرين ومثل الذين ينفقون أموالهم ابتغاء مرضات الله وتثبيتا من أنفسهم كمثل جنة بربوة أصابها وابل فآتت أكلها ضعفين فإن لم يصبها وابل فطل والله بما تعملون بصير أيود أحدكم أن تكون له جنة من نخيل وأعناب تجري من تحتها الأنهار له فيها من كل الثمرات وأصابه الكبر وله ذرية ضعفاء فأصابها إعصار فيه نار فاحترقت كذلك يبين الله لكم الآيات لعلكم تتفكرون يا أيها الذين آمنوا أنفقوا من طيبات ما كسبتم ومما أخرجنا لكم من الأرض ولا تيمموا الخبيث منه تنفقون ولستم بآخذيه إلا أن تغمضوا فيه واعلموا أن الله غني حميد الشيطان يعدكم الفقر ويأمركم بالفحشاء والله يعدكم مغفرة منه وفضلا والله واسع عليم يؤتي الحكمة من يشاء ومن يؤت الحكمة فقد أوتي خيرا كثيرا وما يذكر إلا أولو الألباب وما أنفقتم من نفقة أو نذرتم من نذر فإن الله يعلمه وما للظالمين من أنصار إن تبدوا
It's all in the eyes. When I look at you, feels right. Could this be love at first sight? Your eyes are telling me, come closer. You wouldn't mind giving your number. How should I know if I read your signs right? But I'm pretty sure cause we keep locking eyes. So many things being said without words. Love just a glance makes my energy surge. Girl, you got me mesmerized by the way you use those eyes. Damn those eyes, girl. Damn those eyes, girl. Girl, you sweep me clean off my feet. You got me in a trance, it's so deep. I love those bedroom eyes, they're so sweet. They penetrate my soul, I'm so weak, so weak, so love how when we dance, we talk with our eyes. And when we're making love, those same eyes cry. I see so much passion building up inside. Girl, just one look, I come alive. Girl, you got me mesmerized. The way you're talking with those eyes. Damn those eyes, girl. Damn those eyes, girl. Girl, you got me mesmerized. The way you're talking with those eyes. Damn those eyes, girl. Damn those eyes, girl.
Make your mind up, son, and face it, because warriors don't cry. I know lots of folks will hate you, and not because they want to, but sometimes they don't even know why. So don't watch the crowd, their duty is to be loud. Believe in what you're doing and feel proud. No true friend when you're hungry, not if he is hungry too, no. At times you can't rely, because the same brother will sell you with the offer, yes. Feels good and take it. Make your mind up, son, and face it, yeah. 'Cause warriors don't cry. I know lots of folks will hate you, and not because they want to know. Sometimes they don't even know why. So don't watch the crowd. The duty is to be loud. Believe in
You sound so sweet on the line. Telephone love. You make my day every time. Telephone love. You sound so sweet on the line. Telephone love. You make my day every time. When you call, I feel so good. Wish you were living in my neighborhood, so you could hang up the phone and rush all over. Take up where we left off under the cover. Telephone love. You sound so sweet on the line. Telephone love. You make my day every time. Telephone love. You sound so sweet on the line. Yeah. Telephone love. You make my day every time. If anyone else can see me, they would never understand. I'm just living out my fantasy. Talking loud with my mind. Telephone love. You sound so sweet on the line. Telephone love. You make my day every time. Yeah. Telephone love. You sound so sweet on the line. Telephone love. You make my day every time. Telephone love. Telephone love. Telephone love. Telephone love. Telephone love. You sound so sweet on the line. Telephone love. You make my day every time. Yeah. Telephone love. You sound so sweet on the line. Telephone love. You make my day every time. Whatever you do, don't hang up, don't hang up. Just keep pouring it out till you fill my cup. I'm lost in you whenever you speak. Hey, when you call my name, I feel so weak. Telephone love. You sound so sweet on the line. Telephone love. You make my day every time. Telephone love. You sound so sweet on the line. Telephone love. You make my day every time. Every time, every time. Telephone lover, come back under the cover. Telephone love, you're so good to me. I need you desperately. Telephone lover, telephone love, I need you desperately.
Fuck that. 8 doobies to the face. Fuck that. 12 bottles in the case, nigga. Fuck that. 2 pills in the halfway, nigga. Fuck fuck that. Got a high tolerance when your age don't exist. Man, I swear my nigga tripping off that shit again. Pick 'em up, then I set 'em in cold water. Then I order someone to bring 'em Vica. Then hope they take the pain away from the feeling that he feel today. You know when you're part of Section 8 and you feel like no one can relate. Cause you are a loner. Marijuana endorphins make you stronger. I'm in the house party tripping off my generation. Sipping cough syrup black as water. Never no pancakes in the kitchen, man. Not one of our lives is caught up in the daily superstition that the world is about the end. Gives a fuck, we never do listen unless it comes with an 808. A melody and some hoes, PlayStation and some drink. Technology bought my soul. Looking around and all I see is a big crowd that's product of me and it probably relatives relevant for a rebel stream. Yep, her president is black, she black. Purple label on her back, but that dab is like blue. She take it straight to the head, then she look at me. She got ADHD. Hey, doobies to the face, fuck that. 12 bottles in the case, nigga, fuck that. 2 pills in the halfway, nigga, fuck that. Got a high tolerance when your age don't exist. Like whoa.
Don't got a limit, just give me some more credit. Don't got a limit, just give me some more credit. They always tell me ADHD did it.
And then she started feeling the stuff like no one else in this apartment. Beg your pardon, oh I rap, baby. How old are you? She say 22, I say 23. Okay, then we all crack babies. Damn, why'd you say that? She said, where my drink at? I'ma tell you later, just tell your neighbors and the police relax. I stood up, shut the blind, closed the screen, Jumbotron, made to the back where she reside. Then she said, read between the lines, yep. Hope that I get close enough when the lights turn down. And the fact that she just might open up when the new folks start to drown. Her body and I know the both of us really deep in the move now. There's nothing we can do now. Somebody walk in with a pound of that Bay Area Kush. She looked at me, then looked at it, then she grabbed it, then she said, get it understood. You know why we crack babies? Because we born in the 80s. That ADHD crazy. Hey, doobies to the face, fuck that. 12 bottles in the case, nigga, fuck that. 2 pills in the halfway, nigga, fuck that. Got a high tolerance when your age don't exist. Like whoa.
Don't got a limit, just give me some more credit. Don't got a limit, just give me some more credit. They always tell me ADHD did it.
Give you the light. Double cup, 4, 6, just mix it in Sprite. Ecstasy, shrooms, blow, drone, hoes, whatever you like. You can have all my shine, I will give you the light.
Them a up, talk, them a chat. I tell me lay me a toss on me up with beer badness. Back at that. Man psycho, Gaza run boy. Me no know about them, but me know about we. A Gaza me run boy. Boy them a flip me ratchet. Me we push to your chest, me we shoot one of them boy. Sparta send some cyanide and burn to Jamaican powder. Boy, just a lick them some pussy more. We no bow, we no fear on ya. We no bow, we no fear on ya. Yeah. Say them a killer and nobody no heard of them. Tough chat like you a man afraid of you. Mind me send one of me demon girl from Sparta come suck off your cock and murder you. This me no wanna if not suppose. Send me dead friend them come shoot in a crowd. And don't try running cause you will get ghost. Me no know about them but me know about we. A cause of me run boy yeah. Boy them a flip me ratchet. Me we push to your chest. Me we shoot one of them boy yeah. Sparta send some cyanide and burn to Jamaican powder. No boy just a lick them some pussy more. We no bow, we no fear on ya. We no bow, we no fear on ya. Yeah, books boy head of them gate daily. In front past that school picnic. Try to make you look burn out when the demons come out for your soul. What the devil sent thee. Rain are the worst thing you will see. Oh, them set the paper on me. But shot in a head arrogantly. Oh, no know about them but me know about we. A cause of me run boy yeah. Boy them a flip me ratchet.
ladies, all my ladies. Tuesday, décalé, where décalé. Tunes on the beat. All my ladies, all my ladies. Tuesday, décalé, where décalé.
Thankful for all he has done. So me, I wanna have some fun. Steady looking to the early man. Call your friends, them, make them come. Yes, it was the star was fun. I'm a dunk Collion, come get some. I'm on the run. Enemies, them, fire ban. Who got them, let's say, come on, can go say, ale, ale, ale.
Trick done left his MySpace open.
Hello.
Vegas?
Oh, what about baby girl?
Don't baby girl me. How many of your groupies you call baby girl? Is Tisha a baby girl? Is Amanda a baby girl too?